to listen, but your eyes are staring at the ground. She makes a subtle proposition. I'm sorry, love, I'll have to turn you down. Oh, we must be up to...
Hey, what's up guys, it's me New with finallyanime.com, and today we're going to talk about the elemental Vigors Shock Jockey and Devil's Kiss. In the third iteration of Bioshock, the tried and true Electro Bolt returns masquerading as the new Vigor dubbed Shock Jockey, and for the better. Though received just before the midpoint of the adventure, a few judicious uses will make up for the time not in your possession. So similar to the first two games, Shock Jockey stuns the opponent, dealing an almost imperceptible amount of damage, and then weakens the foe so following attacks deal twice as much damage. Now most likely the iconic primary firing mode's the one you'll be using the most, and understandably so, seeing as salt usage is the cheapest in the game alongside bucking Bronco. And while primarily meant for solo targets off the bat, depending on future Vigor upgrades and or gear, it can easily become the most efficient tool for local crowd control.
He ain't real, he dead. What? What's wrong with you? I say he dead.
And adding to its usefulness, it can be life-saving for inconvenient, slow reloads. And a small side note, shock effects and bonuses work the same way with gear too. Shocking punches are just as effective at giving breathing room and saving ammo or salts. Even with superpowers and powerful guns, a good old punch can still be effective. And also remember, if you don't want to enter the fray, just pull an enemy to you and bop them on the head yourself. Conversely, whereas the normal fire is predictable, the trap version is a bit weird. After picking a spot, numerous crystal forms randomly bounce into place around it, creating a network and then shocking whoever trips it. I'd usually advise against the trap version since the first is incredibly easy to aim and fire, but when combined with Undertow, the trap version can completely obliterate anything, even in 1999 mode, especially with mods and gear. Upgrades. The first upgrade mod, a moderate 1.2k in the factory, allows lightning to arc from target to target within a reasonable distance, and is definitely worth getting on any difficulty. Now, if you want to save your money, you can try to get a piece of gear called Storm, which does the same thing but requires you to kill a shocked enemy first. And indeed, it is very similar to Overkill, which shocks nearby enemies too, but the main difference is Storm works 100% of the time, instead of only happening when a foe is killed with excess damage. Now, you can actually have both on at the same time and deal repeated shock damage to nearby enemies for a simple but powerful self-perpetuating cycle. Either way, both are good substitutes if you don't want to spend money. Additionally, Shock Jockey works the same on everything except Handyman and the Siren. The Handyman will pause a couple frames if you catch him before he starts up an attack animation, but after he does, there's nothing you can do except brace yourself. The second upgrade, Shock Jockey Boost, $575 in downtown Emporia, doubles range, making it effective when you're low on salts and can't afford to use Undertow for faraway enemies. Most notably though, in my opinion, it's best for turrets and patriots. But to be frank, there aren't too many instances when you actually need this upgrade, since by the time you get it, you'll already have Undertow to pull anything to you, Possession to simply make them a decoy, or even the slightly expensive Murder of Crows. So in the end, it's ultimately your choice, but no, it won't detract from the overall use from Shock Jockey if you don't get it. Tips and tactics. Paired with a couple bullets, and I literally mean only a couple, Shock Jockey can make your game worlds easier in 1999 mode. But even though Shock Jockey's amazing alone, it's even better with help. For example, in 1999 mode, Possession's one of the Vigors you have to use in the beginning and can be complemented in more than one way later on. The first is possessing a foe, then shocking them, which in turn turns them into a walking, shooting lightning rod. The second might not be as flashy, but is arguably more effective. Possess a healthy foe and try to flank their target, so in turn your ally gets double damage. Then you can keep moving forward, or just hang back and provide support. And if you're feeling real good, you can do both. Now, embarrassingly enough, on my second hard playthrough, I just kept dying over and over again until I realized all I needed to do was prepare, and I ran through it in 1999 mode, and I was finished so fast I reloaded all the chapters just to play again. And before I move on, When dealing with RPG and flare gun users, save yourself the headache and either possess or throw them over a rail, whichever is most convenient. Now in reality, half the Vigors interact really well with Shock Jockey, but the most obvious is Undertow. Mixed with water, Shock Jockey typically guarantees an insta-kill with only a couple extra bullets needed for the toughest armor enemies nearing the final chapter. When facing Patriots, shocking with Undertow after, then shocking again while shooting makes short work of them on any difficulty. Just make absolutely sure to shock first, then use Undertow after on humans. Though I feel there are more efficient ways to dispatch them, for Patriots it doesn't matter as much. The only time it's okay to shock after is when using the alternate version of Undertow, so keep that in mind. And before I forget, don't feel like people have to walk into your traps. Feel free to pull them into them. If excess salts are just lying around, use them. Ironically, using these will actually save you salts in the long run. Remember, a stitch in time always saves 9, and to save salts I recommend only using this combination on 2 or more foes, since Undertow is fairly expensive for use on only a single human targets, except maybe heavy hitters or Patriots. As shown in earlier videos, Charge works swimmingly with Shock Jockey as well, and when paired with Shock melee gear, Overkill, or an upgraded Shock Jockey, AoE stuns will always have a good chance of occurring. Also, shock-oriented hats set off Overkill, so don't be afraid to use that every once in a while too. And of course, the other more well-known combination is Murder of Crows, but it really makes no sense. It hardly does any damage, and why continually stun an enemy when you can just kill it? Even so, assuming possession's upgraded, Murder of Crows ends up being pretty expensive. So don't get me wrong, MOC is amazing, but all I'm saying is to use it wisely. Devil's Kiss. Like Shock Jockey, Bioshock 1's Incinerate stays, but in the guise of Devil's Kiss. Though all Vigors are quite effective on single targets, Devil's Kiss is more useful the more people are clumped together, and unquestionably one of the best Vigors to greatly curb danger of an impending death in 1999 mode with groups of enemies involved, or any difficulty for that matter. For the primary fire, DeWitt throws a fiery grenade, exploding into smaller pieces and then forming a bigger explosion depending on upgrades. Occasionally during the game, you're going to come across plotting groups of people completely unaware of your presence. This is the best time to throw a couple grenades in quick succession, saving time, health, ammo, salts, and most importantly, money. On easy and normal, a fully upgraded Devil's Kiss can easily one-shot almost any human target, no question. I'm not quite sure about hard since I didn't use it too much, but on 1999 mode, fully upgraded, it can still take 2 to 3 grenades just to kill one person. So the moral of this story is to use this to weaken groups of people, not single targets. For that, DK's electric sibling Shock Jockey is the key. Ironically, I use the trap version way more than the primary fire. The trap version lays down a small molten mine and when activated triggers a relatively big explosion. It costs about 2 regular DK uses, so avoid using this unless you have extra salts just lying around. And assuming you do have extra salts lying around, lay down a crow's nest while you're at it. This version isn't too necessary on normal or even hard, but on 1999 mode it's incredibly effective to lay down in front of doors or paths you know will be tread. Upgrades. Not much to say here this time. DK's mod goes for 1.2k in Monument Island Gateway and makes the explosion bigger, but not necessarily deal more damage. The second upgrade, Devil's Kiss, however, goes for a superstitiously bad $666 at Finkton Docks and takes care of the damage area. Opinion-wise, there's not really any need to get Devil's Kiss mod, costing 1.2k. I actually played through all of 1999 mode ignoring that upgrade and didn't notice a thing. The damage boost, however, might be helpful to get, but actually at $666 it might just be better to get a weapon upgrade instead. Tips and tactics. As I touched on earlier, Devil's Kiss works great for preparing attacks and laying down traps on predictable enemies, but just be careful with handymen though. On the hardest difficulty for me at least, they always seem to jump around my traps. I don't know if it was coincidence or by design, but either way, only lay down DK traps when purely confident. After using Murder of Crows, it's a good Vigor to use to spread damage even farther after stunning, and as I hinted at earlier, do not use this on single targets. Simple math tells you it's a waste. Use Shock Jockey for that. Another reason I don't advise using this against a really small number of targets is they dodge. I don't know if you've noticed, but even mechanized patriots will dodge them, right in your face.
How you like me now? 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 How you like me now?
Maybe I'm an idiot or something, but sometimes it's hard throwing this, even when enemies are just messing around. And speaking of machinery, it is feasible to use when there's nothing else, like in the beginning, but after you receive Shock Jockey, there's literally no reason to use this on turrets and the like over a bolt of lightning and a few well-placed bullets. The Storm Hat amplifies DK with a fiery plume after killing an enemy, but it hasn't really wowed me in the least since people tend to barely be out of range. It does look pretty cool though. Charge does work well with Devil's Kiss, but ironically, it's best just to equip Burning Halo Hat to create the same effect without use of salts. Hitting an opponent in the air from bucking Bronco with this Vigor does the same thing, but again, it didn't seem to make much of a difference in damage. And to finish, you can mix this with Possession to create your own personal fireman friend, but it is relatively short-lived. Its usefulness is of course up to you to decide, but I think it's a healthy change of pace for sure. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys so much. And if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course guys, if you're on Steam, feel free to visit this description and vote me on Steam or just friend me. And remember, this isn't just for myself, more so this is for the viewers. Even though I would like to get 5-10k views and I am trying to get this channel bigger, it's more so for the viewers. When you view this, when you upvote, like, and all that, it helps other people just like yourself see it. So, do this for them. But anyways, guys, if I missed something, let me know. And, I really am sorry for all the begging. I hate doing it, but it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. And before I forget, last thing, giveaway at 500 subs. So I think we're at like 470, 475 or something like that. So hurry up and get in before it's too late. And I will be doing another giveaway soon at like 700 to get to 850 or 1,000 subs. Definitely 1,000, whichever I feel like. But for now, this is what's going on, alright? So, okay guys, sorry for the long message. I'm really sorry. But thanks again. And happy YouTubing, alright? Alright guys, thanks.